This is the 1.9 guided practice with Mr. V, and this one is about doing absolute values in algebraic equations. So we have absolute values. So the first thing you need to remember is that you're going to get two answers, okay? Because you're going to have to set it to a positive and to a negative. So remember, absolute value on a number line. So let's say this is 0, and then I have 1, 2, or negative 3, negative 2, negative 1. This is 1, 2, and 3, right? So if I have a point here, that's 3 spots away, right? So the absolute value of 3 is just going to be 3. Let's say I have a point at negative 3, and I wanted to find the absolute value, where those, and we can tell that by those bars that I put on the side of it. Just all it's asking is how many spots away is it? It's 1, 2, 3 spots away from 0. Okay, so let me show you what I am talking about. Just keep in mind that we're looking for positive numbers because it's just how many spots away from 0 it is, not how many, not a lesser value of 0. So for the first one here, I'm going to set two equations up, right? So I'm going to set normally something like that, but I'll just do one at a time. So I'll do a minus 8 is equal to 3, so I'm just copying it down. And then a minus 8 is equal to a negative 3. And I got to solve for a in both of these. So I'm going to add 8 to each one, and we get that a is equal to 11 here. And over here, I'm going to add 8 to a negative 3, and we get that a is equal to 5. So my final answer is going to be 11 and 5. Because if I plug this in here, the absolute value is always going to be 3, right? So 11 minus 8 is 3, which is equal to 3. And then 5 minus 8 is a negative 3. And how many spots away is that from 0? It's 3. So for the second one, all we're going to do is x plus 6 equals 9. And then my second equation is just x plus 6. And I'm going to set that equal to a negative 9. So then I'll just minus 6 for the first one here. Now x is going to be equal to 3. And then I'm also going to be able to have over here minus 6, x is going to be equal to negative 15. So my final answers are going to be 3 and negative 15. All right, so number 5, n minus 3 is equal to 5. So I'm just copying it down the same one. And then n minus 3 is equal to a negative 5. So I'm going to add 3 to each side. So n is going to be equal to 8. Same thing over here. I'm going to add it to a negative 5. So n is going to be equal to negative 2. So my final answer is n is equal to 8, negative 2. All right, so let's check answers first. So first one's 11, 5. So that one's good. Second one is 3, 15. So that's good. And then I have 8, negative 2, and that one's good. All right, so let me just cross out these evens. All right, so we get to a point where there's going to be stuff outside these bars here. So this is the absolute value of negative r plus 10, and then outside that value bar is minus 2. So what we need to do is anything outside these absolute value bars, we need to get rid of. So I need to get rid of this negative 2. I do that by adding 2 to both sides. So what I'll have is absolute value of negative r plus 10 is going to be equal to 11. So then I can set up my equation, because all I want on this side is the stuff that matches, that is on the inside of these absolute value bars, okay? I don't want anything else. So I did that, and now I can set up my two equations. So negative r plus 10 is going to be equal to 11, and then negative r plus 10 is equal to negative 11. And I'm going to solve for what r is. So I'm going to minus 10 on each side, so I get negative r. It's going to be equal to 1. And then I have to divide by negative 1. So r is going to be equal to negative 1. Then over here, I'm going to have negative r is going to be equal to negative 21. And I'm going to divide by negative 1, so r is going to be equal to 21. So my two answers are going to be negative 1 and 21. And here we go. All right, looks like this 9 might be a little tricky, but we'll see what we get. So remember, these are the absolute value bars, right? Let me erase this so it's not sticking out too much. These are the absolute value bars. That's the only thing I want on the left-hand side, or just on one side. So I have to get rid of that. So I'm going to minus 2, and minus 2 on each side. That's going to cancel this. And what I'm left with is this absolute value of 6 minus 9x is equal to 51. So then I can set my two equations up, right? So I can have 6 minus 9x is equal to 51. And then I can have 6 minus 9x is equal to a negative 51. I'm going to add minus 6 to each side. So I'll have negative 9x is going to be equal to 51 minus 6, which would be about 45. So I divide by negative 9, and I get a negative 5, I believe. It's the end of the day. My brain's tired. So I do 45 divided by a negative 9, and I get a negative 5, so I was right. So that's my first answer. Then I got to solve my other one. So I'm going to minus 6x on each side, so I have negative 9x is equal to negative 51. Oh, why do I have a negative 51? That should just be, that should be 51 regardless. So, let me fix this real quick. I found my error before I even made an error. So that would be 6 minus 9x is going to be equal to a negative 51. All right, so then what I do is I'm going to minus 6, so that would be negative 57. I'm going to divide each side by negative 9, so x is going to be 57 over 9. And then I don't think I can reduce that at all. Actually, I can. So both of them are divisible by 3, right? So it's going to be 19 over 3. So my answers are x equals negative 5, and then the 19 over 3. And there we go. All right, 11. I got to get rid of this. So I'm going to have 9v minus 9. The absolute value of that is going to be equal to 27, because I'm going to add 7 to each side. So then I set up my two equations, and I get 9v minus 9 is equal to 27, and then 9v plus 9, sorry, not plus 9, minus 9 is going to be equal to negative 27. So then I'm going to add 9, so 9v is going to equal 36. And then if I divide each side by 9, I'll get v is equal to 4. My second equation, I add 9 to each side, so I'll get 9v is going to be equal to negative 18. Divide by 9, I'll get v is equal to negative 2. So those are my two answers. So 4 and negative 2. All right, that one's good. So we got 3 more. All right, this one is a little bit tricky, but stay with me. So this is a positive 4 that I need to get rid of, but what stays over here is a negative 1. So what I need to do first is I need to get rid of this 4. So I'm going to have a negative, hold on a second. By minusing 4 on each side, I'm going to have a negative absolute value, which is 1 minus 6x is equal to negative 19. Now, here's the thing. I have a negative 1 on the outside. I don't want that. So I'm going to divide each side by a negative 1, that gets rid of that right there. So I'll have absolute value 1 minus 6x is going to be equal to 19. So then I can set up my two equations. 1 minus 6x is equal to 19. And then the other one is 1 minus 6x is equal to negative 19. So I have negative 6x is going to be equal to 18. So x is going to be equal to negative 3. And then I'll have negative 6x is equal to negative 20. So if I divide by 6, x is then going to equal 20 over 6, which we can reduce down to, if I divide each one of these by 2, that'd be 10 over 3, or 10 thirds. So we have a negative 3 and then 10 thirds. Perfect. All right, 15. So I want to get rid of the 9 first. So I'm going to have, I have to add, or I'm sorry, I have to subtract 9. So I'm going to have 9 times m minus 8. That's going to be equal to 99. Then I need to divide each side by 9. Divide by 9. So that I'll have m minus 8. The absolute value of that is equal to 11. So I set up my two equations, m minus 8 is equal to 11, and then m minus 8 is equal to negative 11. So what I can do is just add 8 to both sides. So m is going to equal to 19, and then 8 plus 11, m will be equal to negative 3. So 19 and a negative 3. All right, last one here. So I know that the answer is 2, 0, just because I saw it right there. But I'm going to check again. Yeah, it's 2, 0. So let's see if we can get that. All right, so first I need to subtract the 3, right? So I subtract the 3 from both sides, and I get, don't worry about this right here. So then I get negative 4, and then times the absolute value of 7b minus 7 is equal to negative 25. Sorry, not negative 25. Forgot to do this one thing I said, to be negative 28. Then I'm going to divide each side by negative 4. So what I get is 7b minus 7. That's the absolute value, is going to be equal to positive 4. No, sorry, not a positive 4, positive 7. So I can set that into my two equations. 7b minus 7 is equal just to 7, so the same thing. And then 7b minus 7 is equal to a negative 7. So 7b, I'm going to add 7 to each side, is going to be 14. So b is going to be equal to 2. And it looks like I'm on the right track. Then I'm going to add 7 to each side, so 7b is going to be equal to 0. And then if I do 0, it's because I have to divide by 7. If I do 0 divided by 7 in my calculator, I get b is equal to 0, because 0 divided by any number is a 0. So my final answer is 2 and 0. All right, that's all I have for you guys, under 15 minutes. As always, if you have any kinds of questions, ask or email. I bring my iPad home every day. Hope you guys have a good one. See you later.